Saturated fat is not your enemy.
Welcome again to 6 Weeks to Wellness with Jan Fitzpatrick of InVive Health and our ongoing 4-part series on how to have a healthier heart. Saturated fat is not my enemy. Jan, I love you now. This is great news. This is great news. Tell me what we're going to cover in this episode.
Well, new research reveals that heart disease is caused by 4 lifestyle choices by over a lifetime, day by day, and meal by meal. And we're going to do 3 things. We're going to cover 3 things. How to increase your risk of heart disease. Okay. How you handle stress hugely increases your risk of heart disease. And the third really important point is systemic inflammation is a major cause of heart disease.
Excellent. Well, that all sounds critically important. So let's take that from the top. I mean, all right. I wasn't really planning to increase my risk of heart disease, but if I were planning to, what would be my instruction manual? Jan, lay it on me.
Well, as risks go, high cholesterol is not that important. Many people with high cholesterol never developed heart disease. And if you would like to increase your risk of heart disease, please smoke lots of cigarettes every day.
Sounds good.
Be significantly overweight. Eat a lot of processed foods with few vegetables and fruits, and don't exercise.
Great. So I'm going to sit on my sofa, eat Spam out of a can while smoking a carton of cigarettes, and I'm just going to kill myself real quick, right?
Well, unfortunately, it's going to be long and painful.
Exactly. It's going to be a long, slow way to go. Yeah. So hopefully people are picking up on the tongue-in-cheek, tone. We really aren't advising you to go kill yourself with heart disease. No. It's exactly the opposite. But yeah, no, this is great, Jan, because most people do it the other way around, right? They give you that sort of list of things not to do. So this has been a fun way to kind of look at it, but makes you pay attention and realize that these are... The beautiful thing is they're all things that are under your control, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. They often call heart disease a foodborne illness.
I love that. I have not heard that one before. Oh. That is absolutely great. Yes, a foodborne illness. Yes. All right. So we don't really want to increase our risk of heart disease. So we're not going to smoke. We're not going to eat the Spam out of the can. We're going to get some exercise. Yeah. Let's talk about another huge topic that is important to people, and that's stress. We know that stress is not good for us in the moment because it makes our life very unhappy, but what's it doing to our heart?
Well, in addition to what you eat, what's really important is how you handle stress. What is your reaction? Do you take things easily, or do you just go into a rage? It's really, really important for your heart. The definition of stress is any real or imagined threat and your body's response to it. And especially that imagined threat we could also call worry or anxiety. Mm-hmm. And another sort of your attitude, whether you feel powerless or powerful, whether you're sad or there's some grief that you're having to overcome. This time of our lives during menopause or women 50 and beyond is a time of many, many changes. Relationships, people pass, illnesses happen, divorces, moving, your children leave home, they may even get married. There's a lot going on for women over 50 that is very stressful. And stress constricts your posture, so you have to really work at, on that exercise part and keeping yourself flexible and strong. If you've ever looked at anybody under stress, it constricts your face. You can tell people are stressed. And it also constricts your blood vessels. They narrow the passageway for the blood to flow through. And if you have accumulated any plaque, it's even smaller. And that can often precipitate some kind of event for you, heart attack, or even just little hints of things not going in the right direction.
Yep, absolutely. One of my favorite books about stress, Robert Sapolsky out at Stanford University, he wins for one of my favorite book titles. He had a well-known book called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. Fascinating because, we deal really well with the immediate stress of a real thing, like a zebra running away from a lion works great. But you're so right. We're able to imagine things that stress us out, or the actual event happens and we replay it in our mind over and over again, and we can bathe ourselves in the juices of stress for hour after hour after hour, and that's really not what our body is designed for. So you're absolutely right. How we react to that stress, what we do with it inside our brains, has a huge impact on how we feel. But now you're actually bringing it all the way to our physiology, not only how we feel, but how we literally are functioning at the level of our heart and our blood vessels and all of this stuff.
Yes.
And I'll refer people back to earlier, the first episode in this series where we talked about literally the blood vessels and all that. So go back and if you missed that one, check that out. I won't repeat it all here, but really important stuff. So, yeah, stress, critical. So let's talk about another really critical thing that's been getting a lot of really interesting research lately, inflammation, systemic inflammation. So what's going on there, and what's the impact on the heart?
Well, people do believe that systemic inflammation is the cause of all diseases, especially heart disease. And our body is always talking to us, so it's always telling us things, and we call them symptoms.
Right.
And those symptoms tell you that you have inflammation. The symptoms that tell you that you have inflammation in your body, just for example, gum disease. Gum disease is a chronic infection. It causes an inflammation level to rise in your body. It's an infection. And you may notice, aches and pains as you get older. Well, they come and they go. Sometimes they're worse and sometimes they're better. And if you've ever had the flu, the real flu, you know that your whole body hurts. And that's because your level of inflammation is very high. And for me, I notice that I'm getting ill when maybe I get a scratchy throat, which is a weakness in my body, or my neck and shoulders start to ache, because those are the places where I tend to hold my tension. And they are probably the source anyway. And also what they're finding in current research is showing that gut inflammation is also really important. Not only that it's inflammation, but if you don't have a population of friendly bacteria that's enough, then anytime there's anything happening in your gut, it'll go right to your brain, and you'll have, then that constriction thing will happen, the one we talked about. If you have a healthy probiotic or friendly bacteria population, it kind of says shh to your brain, and your brain will produce GAB or GABA, and that'll quiet everything down. But gut inflammation looks like gas and bloating and often constipation.
Right, and then we've been talking quite a bit about sort of the seemingly metaphorical language around all this stuff, but people use this language all the time, and what we're talking about is that these things didn't come out of thin air, they came out of actual physical experience. So people say a gut feeling, right?
Yes.
I had a gut feeling about something, or I felt that heaviness in my heart, and that language is actually talking about our physiology. I think you said it really well, that we're getting feedback all the time from all the different parts of our body, and we're not always aware at a conscious level of why we know what we know. We call it instinct or intuition, but it might be from the gut, it might be from your blood vessels, it might be from the inflammatory response that your immune system is having that is making you feel a certain way and giving you information. So it's up to us to try to interpret that and get more attuned to it. And
absolutely.
It sounds like you've had a similar experience that I think I've had too, which is you can sense early enough that you're beginning to have an infection of some kind.
Yes.
If you let yourself lay low and get extra rest, and you can actually fend it off and not have it fully blossom, in your system. So
exactly.
So inflammation, big deal, and gut inflammation, really fascinating research going on about that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to go on about this too long because we've got a whole 4-part series that we're doing all about having a healthy heart and things you can do and know about. So in this section, we started off with, a great title, that saturated fat is not your enemy. Great news. It's certainly not your worst enemy. That things are really the accumulation of a lifespan of how you eat and how you live your lifestyle. And we talked about jokingly, want to emphasize how to increase your risk of heart disease if you really want to. So good list of things not to do there if you don't want to. How we handle stress has a huge impact then on our risk for heart disease. And systemic inflammation, something that you really want to know about and pay attention to, both in your body and in the research as it continues to go.
Yes.
So great stuff, very interesting. I want to make sure that people know how to stay connected with you and all this great information that you are teaching us here. So this 4-part series, along with a lot of other content, all lives over at Jan's website, invibehealth.com, where she's got a great special offer for you. If you want to, you can go to Amazon and buy her ebook, or you can go to invibehealth.com and download it without buying it. You can actually get on her contact list, get her ebook, get the notifications of each part in this series and all the future series that we keep doing, and all the past series are all there on the blog that you can dig into and learn a ton of information about leading a healthier lifestyle, especially for women over the age of 50, learning about 6 weeks to wellness. All that good stuff is there. So head on over to invibehealth.com, click on the book banner. You'll be able to download the book and get on the contact list. So Jan, this is great stuff. We're going to continue our series on how to have a healthy heart. And until we pick up on the next segment, I'm going to say thank you for this segment.
Thank you for joining us.